Hello and welcome to Truth Tuesday. So today we're going to be talking about up-leveling and dealing with the fears that come along with up-leveling in your business. So the first thing I want to talk about is, what do I mean by up-leveling? So up-leveling can be anything from spending money on your business, investing in money, hiring a coach, quitting your job. It can be, now I'm blanking on what did I write down. Outsourcing, which means releasing control, can be super uncomfortable and a new thing. Hiring team members. So any of those things will be up-leveling in your business. Doing something that's scary, something that's new, being a beginner at something. And that is one of the keys of up-leveling, is that knowing that there's going to be fears that come up, because the fear means that we're doing something different, that we're doing something different from what we've been doing all along, and we are willing to be a beginner in order to take our business to the next level. So the first thing let's discuss is about the fear that happens, because it's scary. And it can feel overwhelming, confusing even, like you're lost. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle these situations. I've never done this before. But fear coming up means that you're growing. Right? Fear means go and grow. Fear comes up when you are doing something you've never done before. And what is the alternative? So what is the alternative to staying stuck? If we continue to do the same things, the things that we feel comfortable, the things that we know how to do, the things we don't feel like a beginner or lost or confused or overwhelmed, then we stay in the exact same position that we're in. And if I never invest in my business, if I never hire support, if I never get a team, if I never outsource things, if I never invest money, if I never take any risks, if I never learn anything new, then my business is going to be exactly the same. And so I always ask my clients, what is the pain that you're willing to sustain? So are you willing to sustain the pain of staying stuck in the exact same place? Are you willing to sustain the pain of making the same amount of money? Are you willing to sustain the pain of going to that job every day? Are you willing to sustain the pain of being overwhelmed or of not knowing what to do or about doing anything that's not working? Are you willing to continually do those things and stay stuck in that spot with that pain? Or are you willing to sustain the pain of learning something new, of feeling uncomfortable, of feeling scared and terrified and confused, and asking for help? As you know, I've said many times, is that I struggle with asking for help myself, and I have to remind myself that asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. That it takes strength, it takes courage to ask for help, to get support, to do something different, to do something that you feel like you're a beginner at, to make mistakes, to not be perfect, to not know. To have all of those feelings means to me that I'm growing, and I personally am willing to take the risk, take the step, the courageous move in order to up-level my business, take my business to the next level rather than staying exactly where it is right now. So if we want to grow, we have to do something different. We have to be a beginner. So I like the quote that's, nothing ever grows on a paved road. So a paved road is comfortable to walk, but nothing ever grows there. So would I prefer to grow? Would I prefer to grow my business? Would I prefer to change my life? And if I would, then I have to be willing to sustain a bit of fear, a bit of self-doubt, a bit of risk, a bit of making mistakes, of being imperfect, about being a beginner. So know that there will be fears that come up, and know that those fears, those self-doubts, those questions of like, is this really going to work? The uncertainty and the uncomfort with the uncertainty means that you're taking the next step. So, okay, so how do we manage some of that stuff? Like, I think I said, how to know when the right time is to grow, and how do I manage some of the stuff that will come up? So know that there is no right time to up-level. The right time is when you feel like you don't want to stay in the same spot that you're in. So if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like you'd like to change something, if you feel like, even if you feel comfortable, if you don't feel like you're doing anything scary, if no fear is coming up, then you know that you're not growing anymore, that you're staying comfortable in your comfort zone. So one of the questions I would ask to my clients, I say this all the time, is what is the most terrifying thing you can think to do in your business? What would scare you the most? If you ask yourself this question and write down all the things that terrify you, maybe it would be investing, maybe it'd be hiring a coach, or maybe it's hiring a team member, maybe it's outsourcing, maybe it's doing live video, maybe it's getting visible, maybe it's sharing your vulnerable story. Maybe it's writing a blog post. Maybe it's putting your writing out there. Maybe it's starting your hand at Facebook ads. Maybe you've never launched a group program before. Maybe you, I'm trying to think. Oh, maybe you've never reached out to do a guest blog. Maybe you've never reached out and offered to be a guest speaker or a public speaker at an event. Maybe you've never done public speaking and you really want to. Maybe you've never created something, or maybe you've never used that social media channel before. All of these things can be areas that you can grow and that you can grow your business in. And so what terrifies you the most? What are you too afraid to do? What are you avoiding doing in your business? And likely that is the space that you could grow. I know that in my business, before it took its next turn, I was avoiding getting on live video. And that became very much a part of my story, and very much about what I do with people is that I help them get visible, get seen, be seen as an expert, not feel like an imposter in my business, because that was my story. I was literally terrified of getting on live video. And so that's how, once I overcame that, that's something that I'm really passionate about, helping other people, because I've seen how game-changing it was in my business. I mean, now I've been investing in Facebook ads, which is scary when you're up-leveling that, when you're increasing your ad spend. I've had to outsource a lot of stuff as of late, and that can be scary. Relinquishing the control of, well, I could do it, but maybe this person could do it better. Maybe they won't do it better. And how will I manage that? I know one of my clients was struggling with being the boss of your business. So as the boss, sometimes you have to have those scary, uncomfortable conversations, but inevitably it will grow your business, it will grow you as a boss, and it will grow the people that you've hired on your team. So knowing that there's no right time, the right time is when you feel comfortable, when you feel stuck, and when you want to make a change, when you want something different, when you desire something more, that's the right time. Because if you're waiting for this sign for you could ask for a sign. I'm all about that. I ask for signs all the time. But if you're waiting for the perfect time, just know that there is never going to be some perfect time. There's always a holiday happening. People ask me that about launching all the time. When's the best time to launch? There's always a holiday happening. So you're always going to run into those issues, and people will buy whenever it is. That doesn't determine when they decide to buy or not. It's not like I wouldn't buy a winter coat in the summer. Likely your services are not seasonal. Maybe they are, but even if they are, I bet you that there are services that you offer that are not seasonal and that people will buy in a different season. So know that there are different seasons all over the world. So even if it might be winter in Canada, it's summer in Australia. So let's just throw that one out there. And so next time is, what are some common things that you should expect could happen, some common fears, some common things to look out for, and how to overcome them. Common things I see all the time, and it happens in my business, and for those of you guys who have been following me for a little while now, you know that it just happened in my business. Typically what will happen is somebody will get sick. Either you will get sick, someone in your family will get sick, a pet will get sick, maybe there's a natural disaster happening. I know I was just on a call with someone who was up-leveling in their life, and they were dealing with the fires. And so it could be a flood, it could be a fire, it could be a tornado, a hurricane, any sort of natural disaster could come into effect. Other things that can happen are that you just feel terrifying fear and you can't overcome it, or you feel like an imposter. You feel this overwhelming sense of, I want to quit. I don't want to do this. This isn't what I want to do. I'm not interested in this. Maybe this isn't right for me. Maybe you want to just completely throw in the towel and you're like, why did I ever think that this was going to be fun? I'm not having fun. I don't like this anymore. Typically, those are our protective mechanisms to prevent us from doing something that's scary, something that feels risky, that we're not certain or that we're not comfortable with. So we retreat and we move backwards. Maybe a relationship will blow up. Maybe you'll need to move. I've seen that happen where, like, somebody's selling you, maybe you rent your apartment and then all of a sudden you have to move because they're selling it. So just be aware that there are a lot of things, sorry, I was sitting on my nose, that there are a lot of things that come into our life to try to derail us, to get us off our path. And that actually happens to everyone when they're up-leveling. It's some strange upper limit problem that comes into effect when we're about to up-level in a big, big way. So know that that is potentially going to happen and be prepared for it. So if your fear is overwhelming you, if you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, like this isn't for me, you want to think to yourself and tell fear, like fear is there for a good reason. Fear is there to tell you about what all the risks are. But you can just come back to your fear and say, listen, fear, like I appreciate you looking out for me, but I got this. I'm going to do this anyways. Feel the fear and do it anyways. Feel the fear, ask for help. Feel the fear, ask for support. Feel the fear, get some guidance. Feel the fear, but do it anyways. And how, this is one of the number one things I hear from people that are having fear overwhelm them and just derail them off of up-leveling. I hear them say to me, oh, my intuition is telling me that it's not right now. This isn't the right time for me. And so how do we determine, I've had this happen myself actually when I was about to invest in something or when I was about to start working with somebody, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know if this is fear or intuition, what's happening here? And how do you determine if it's your intuition or your fear? Focus on, is this going to move me in the direction that I desire to go? Or is it going to take me away from what I truly feel called to do? So if you really would love to be a speaker or an author, and all of a sudden you're like feeling this fear, and maybe even someone comes into your life and says like, ugh, that piece you wrote was terrible. Maybe you get haters. Maybe you get hater messages and you're like, is this a sign that maybe I shouldn't be doing this? This is an upper limit, and it's not your intuition being like your gut saying, oh, don't do this. Like, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know, look, you made a mistake there. You're not cut out for this. Like, nobody even cares what you have to say. You're never going to make it. You're not going to be successful at this. You're going to waste your money. You're going to waste your time. Know that that's not your intuition. That's your fear in an intuition's costume, because your fear is very smart. And it's had years and years and years to prevent you from taking big leaps, to take steps that don't feel comfortable. And so it is very well skilled at doing whatever it needs to keep you small, to keep you in the comfortable space that you're in. For those of you who were around when I quit my job, I know that the day I quit my job, I also lost my wallet. I just so happened to have opened a bunch of bank accounts and gotten a bunch of cards and stuff so that, I had my business bank account and my business credit card and everything in there. And literally the day I quit my job, I lost my wallet on the street. And it was a long weekend in the middle of the city. And I was like, oh my goodness, is this a sign that I should not have done that? Like, this has to be a sign. Instead, I chose, no, this is not a sign. This is just demonstrating to me that, like, I got this. Even when crazy stuff happens in my life, even when the universe is trying to check if I'm really serious about this, if I really believe in myself, I'm still going to make it. And it turns out that some very nice person returned my wallet. Everything was okay the same day. I don't know what, that person was very nice. They're really good people in the world, but just know that those are not signs. Those are your fears coming up to try and derail you and to try and keep you exactly in the place that you're in right now. So know why you're doing this. Have a strong, deep why. If you need to figure out what is my why, I'm not even really sure what you're talking about, Tanya, I'll leave the link for my Go-Getter's Guide to Becoming a Badass Businesswoman. It goes through your fears and your why and like visualizing and what you desire and how to create your successful online business in that opt-in. If you're dealing with like getting visible and you're struggling to get visible in your business, you're struggling with the fear of judgment, you're struggling with self-doubt and feeling like an imposter, I actually have a free training that you can join I created based on the fact that like I struggled with doing that, and that was a game changer in my business. So know your why, know your fears, know what you desire, know that that your fear is going to come up, and there's no way to say like we can't get rid of our fear. Fear's always going to be there. It's not just going to suddenly disappear, especially when you're up leveling. But we can say thank you for coming out, fear. I appreciate your comments. And I got this. And, okay, and then I want you to think about, as a last little tidbit, a question that you can ask yourself is like, what is the best that can happen? We can come up with a bazillion what ifs around what are the risks? How could I be unsuccessful at this? How will I fail? Like, what happens if I fail? What happens if it doesn't work out? What happens if I waste my time? What happens if I waste my money? What happens if everything falls apart and everything blows up? Like, instead of focusing on what happens if it doesn't work out, because what we think about, what we speak about, that is what we create. So we manifest the things that we think and speak about. So where we focus, that's what becomes our reality. So if you focus on what is the best that could happen, what are you willing to do to make it happen? What pain are you willing to sustain? What actions are you willing to take? What courageous moves are you willing to do? Who are you willing to ask for support from? Who are you willing to get guidance from? Because nobody gets to the top alone. Let's be real about this. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that you are joining me. But yeah, thinking about what is the best that could happen and what resources do I have to help me, to support me through those fears, to support me when my life is blowing up, to support me when I want to give up. Because I have clients all the time that are like, no, I don't think this is for me. I want to give up. Like, I'm so afraid. This is just like, it's not worth it. Is it worth it? What is it worth to you? What's at stake? What if you stay stuck? Then what? How will you feel if you do nothing? And know that there are people out there that can help you. And none of us got here on our own. Not a single one of us. And even if you got to somewhere on your own, which I've never heard of before, but if you did, great. Please do reach out. I would love to get to know you. You must be a really crazy go-getter. I love it. But also, like, who can you ask for support to take you to the next level? Because getting to the next level will require outsourcing, will require support, will require guidance. And so noticing those things and asking those questions, asking those deep questions of yourself, and then what are you terrified to do? And then do it. And that's something that I love to speak about with my clients. We always set, on Monday or Sunday, we always set like, okay, what is the scary thing that I'm going to do this week? What is the most terrifying thing that I'm going to commit to doing? What can we hold you accountable for? So please do reach out. I love to hear the scary things you guys are doing or the courageous things you're doing. And if you need support or guidance, like, please join my Ladies Living Courageously Facebook group. That's exactly what it's for. It's for you to feel supported, for you to get that support, for you to ask questions, for you to have some space, a safe space to feel your fear, share it, and do it anyways. Stay accountable and up-level that business, because nobody wants you to stay stuck. The world needs you, and there are not enough of us to go around. There are not enough light workers. There are not enough change makers, and every single person can help somebody else. You can always help somebody who is a couple of steps behind you. So reach out if you need support. I'll leave some of those links in the comments of this video, and I hope to meet all of you, and I hope that you guys are all feeling the fear, doing it anyways, up-leveling your business, no more staying stuck. Okay, have a wonderful Tuesday.